was born free. God had just delivered them, right? So everyone was born free. But so how can an Israelite be a servant? Well, if you were poor, it's like, hey, you know what? Let me come be your servant because I got to feed my family. Or if there was a crime, and I don't know that we'll get to all that, but a crime, you would have to do a time of servitude for a crime or whatever. So that's kind of where this was. So like if I couldn't provide or whatever, I might be Stoney's servant. All right. So that's what that means there. All right. So if you buy a Hebrew servant, he's to serve you for 6 years, but in the 7th you have to set him free. He's done his time in the 7th year, and then later, we'll see this later, but there was a 50 year called the year of Jubilee. So there are these times when you're released from debt, you're released from being a servant, all these releases, but so this is one of them. So he served for 6 years, the 7th year he goes free. If he comes alone, he's to go free alone. If he has a wife when he comes, she's to go with him. If his master gives him a wife and she bears him sons or daughters, the woman and her children shall belong to her master, and only the man shall go free. Are you with me? Okay, you want me to explain that, or you got it? Okay, you got it? All right. But, hang on, this is awesome. But if the servant declares, wait a minute, I know it's been 6 years, and I know this is the 7th, and I know that I'm free to go, but I love my master, and I love my wife, and my children, and I don't want to go free. What? Go! You're free to go! But I love my master, and I love my bride, and I love my children. I don't want to go free. What's this? Then his master takes him before the judges, and he shall take him to the door or the doorpost and pierce his ear with an awl. That's what in Psalm 40, verse 6, that messianic prophecy about mine ear thou hast digged or whatever. This is the picture. Isn't that crazy? David writing about Jesus, who was to come hundreds of years later, is referring back to this right here. I mean, it's like, that's what I was telling you earlier about. If you pay attention to the whole story, you see this. That's amazing. Okay, so what's happening here? Okay, here's the deal. This sounds like just this silly story about, okay, at the 6th you get to go free, but if you want to stay, blah, 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 blah. This is a picture of Jesus. Watch this. So Jesus comes as a servant. And in Matthew, I got to show you this. Turn to Matthew 17, okay? This is also in, I think, Mark 9 and Luke 9. You could look there. John doesn't specifically record this. Go to Matthew 17. After 6 days. Ooh, didn't we just hear the word 6? Okay. I was going to go, everybody go, but I'm not. All right. After 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter, James, and John, the brother of James, and led them up a high mountain by themselves. There he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun. His clothes became as white as light. God's putting on another one. Just then there appeared before them Moses and Elijah talking with Jesus. Okay, are you with me? I mean, are you kidding? So Jesus takes the disciples, the three, the innermost circle of his closest friends, and he takes them up and he's transfigured before them, and all of a sudden Moses and Elijah show up and they start having a conversation. Gosh. And Peter said to Jesus, I don't really know how to read this. Lord, it's good to be here. Really? Okay, never mind. I guess you don't find that as funny as me. I mean, Peter's like going, wow, there's Moses and Elijah. And he's going, man, it's good to be here. Okay, never mind. All right. If you wish, listen how silly this sounds. I mean, Jesus is like, everything's glowing. And it's almost like what's going on in Exodus, the mountain and all this stuff. And Jesus is going, hey, if you want me to, I'll build you 3 shelters. Peter must have been from Cheatham County. Okay, never. All right. I'm just saying. Is that not funny to you? That's really funny to me. Here's like Peter seeing the most spectacular thing, one of the most spectacular things ever to happen in the history of the world, and he's just cheating it. If you want to, I'll build you 3. Okay, never mind. All right. I'll put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, one for... While he was still speaking. It's like God was just ignoring Peter, okay? His idiocy, kind of like he does me. And he's still speaking, and a bright cloud enveloped them, and a voice says, "This is my son. I love him. And with him," stay with me, "with him I am well pleased." Could it be? It really could be that God was going. He came as a servant to fulfill the law. I'm pleased, Jesus. It's over. It's done. You have fulfilled what I demanded as righteousness. And if you want to, like 6 years, you are free to just step out. He had fulfilled the obligation of the law. Just like the servant was obligated to his master, Jesus, out of his obligation to his Father, Master, it's like God going, "You have fulfilled. Come on." And in verse 6, remember, and the servant goes, "Whoa, wait a minute. Whoa. I know I'm free. I know I'm free, but I love my master. And I love my bride." The New Testament says that we are the bride of Christ. Stay with me. This is so amazing. I don't know if I'm pulling this off. This is like one of the most breathtakingly beautiful pictures of Jesus I've ever seen in my whole life. I'm so far off my notes. Listen to Hebrews. Write this down. I'm going to read it real quick. Hebrews chapter 2, starting in verse 5. "It is not to angels that He has subjected the world to come in which we are speaking, but there is a place where someone has testified, 'What is man that you are mindful of him, the Son of Man that you care for him? You made him a little lower than the angels, and you crowned him with glory and honor, and you put everything under his feet.' In putting everything under Jesus, God left nothing that is not subject to Him. Yet at present, we do not see everything subject to Him. But we see Jesus, who is a little lower than the angels, now crowned with glory and honor because He suffered death, so that by the grace of God He might taste death for everyone. In bringing many sons to glory, it was fitting that God, for whom and through whom everything exists, should make the author of their salvation perfect through suffering." What was the suffering? Being pierced, having His ear nailed to the doorpost, so to speak. Both the one who makes men holy, who is that? Jesus. And those who are made holy, who is that? Us. Listen, both the one who makes men holy and those who are made holy are of the same family. The servant, whoa, I can't be free. I love my master and I love my family, and I'm not going if they have to stay. That's what Jesus is saying. Like in this picture, God's going, "Hey, you can step now." And Jesus, He doesn't say this, but in the context of this story, Jesus goes, "Father, Master, thank you for my freedom, but I'm not free yet. I want to stay in my servitude because I have a bride that I want to bring with me." Yeah! Isn't that awesome? Where are you, Alvin? Alvin, would you please say something? Thank you. I tease Alvin. It's like, some days I love to go to black churches. I mean, they rock. And you know, like you watch T.D. Jakes on Sunday afternoon, him preaching, and I mean the place is rocking because they're responding. Hello. Yeah. Wow. Okay. I guess if it was good, you'd respond. This is good to me. Humor me a little bit. Okay. There it is. Okay. So Jesus goes, I can't go because I got a bride. And then it says, so he loves his bride and he loves his children. Let me, I lost my place. Hebrews, where was I? Hebrews 2? Yeah. Let me finish this. So, who are made holy are the same family. So Jesus is not ashamed to call them brothers. He says, and he quotes this prophecy, I will declare your name to my brothers in the presence of the congregation. I will sing your praises. And again, and he quotes another one, I will put my trust in him. And again he says, here am I and the children God has given me. I love my bride and I love these children of yours. That, remember when Jesus is talking to the disciples, he's thanking God that I'm going away, but God, I thank you for the children that you've given me. I mean, we're not really Jesus' children, we're the children of God, but we've been put in care and charge of. Jesus has been put in Jesus' charge. There you go, finally. Okay. But love caused him to forego the freedom that he could have had because he loved his master, his wife, and his children. Love does not think of self. Love places itself entirely at the disposal of who it loves. And Jesus goes, I am placing myself back here. And then we know, and you see the picture now. When the slave, he would have an awl or whatever bored through his ear somehow into the doorpost of this house. Meaning, this household, I'm given to this household forever. Jesus came that you and I might belong to the household of God, to be sons and daughters of God. And it was Jesus, through His crucifixion and resurrection, that redeemed us so that we could be called, what John says, the sons and daughters of God. Isn't that awesome? I was a slave to sin. I was a slave and a servant I was apart from God. It talks about it over and over and over and over, that when I was born, just like we did the jail up here, I was born into sin. It was my master. And all of a sudden, Jesus comes and goes, I'm not leaving until Bobby goes with me. Yeah! I am not leaving here until Elisa Bunning is going on my arm, my bride. Whoa! Okay. Tara, we're going to have a pep rally when we get home. Okay. The boring of the ear marked the entire devotedness of the servant to do his master's will. Remember after Jesus was resurrected and He came back, I think this is at the end of John. I'm sorry, but so some of the disciples see the resurrected Jesus. Remember, and some of them were out fishing in a boat, and Jesus sees them, and he starts making them breakfast on the shore. He's like cooking fish for their breakfast, and Peter recognizes him and jumps in the water and starts swimming. But anyway, in that whole little part of the story, there's Thomas. Thomas is nowhere to be found, and they finally find him. Thomas, what are you doing? He said, I just can't. I don't believe it. And so Jesus comes to Thomas and said, see my hands, see where I was pierced. In other words, He's saying, see this. You see where this was bored through so that I wouldn't leave without you? That's the picture of isn't that incredibly beautiful? Golly. John what? 21. Thank you. Yeah, that is John 21. This is as raw, this is as earthy and rugged stone and no steps as I can be. How can you not love that God? How can I not? That's just first of all, it's mind-boggling to me that there are these hints of it, hundreds and thousands of years apart. And God's going, watch this. It's like, I remember in grade school or something, Mrs. Jonigan's class, we did a time capsule, And so we got, our yo-yo or, some goofy little thing, and we put it in this deal, and we dug a hole in the ground. And I don't know if any of my classmates ever did. I didn't. But at some point you're supposed to go back and dig it up, It's like, that's what these little verses are. They're like these little time capsules. It's like God goes, okay, I'm going to plant this one here, and I'm going to plant this one here, and I'm going to plant this one here, and one day I'm going to bring all of those things together with this crazy story about an ear getting bored through into the doorpost. And all of a sudden, when you put all those things together, it's like, wow, how can I won't speak for you. How can I not love that kind of a God? How can I not trust that kind of a God? When one sentence here and 500 years later, one sentence here, and I think He can't handle this mountain of mine? Really? With one breath, the mountain is in the sea to that God. So it leads me to ask this question. Then why am I content to have a puny God? Seriously. I mean, if that God loves me, and that God wants me, and the God who's causing that mountain to quake, and there's smoke, and there's lightning, and this unbelievable show going on, and He goes, I want you. Don't ask for an intermediary. Don't ask for a bunch of rules. Let me love you. That God is saying that to you and that to me. Would you let me love you? Then why won't we? I don't understand that. I don't. Would you let that God love you? I mean, really let Him love you. I don't know what you're afraid of, but that fear needs to turn to awe. And the love of God will turn your fear to awe, and all of a sudden, it's like, oh God, how can I not but love you? God, that story makes me, it's awesome. I can belong to that God, and I can let that God bore my ear through to the doorpost. So what are you going to do with that? Here's 2 or 3 options. I'm not going to drag this out. First of all, if you're here today and you don't know this one called Jesus, did you hear what He did for you? When He could have taken just a step and gone, okay, I'm going to sit on my throne now. I did what Daddy asked me to do. But He goes, no, I can't go. I can't go because Ronnie's got to go with me. I don't know what your name is, but if you're here today without Jesus, He's calling you by name and going, come go with me. Come go with me. I did that just for you. So here's this sounds so silly. I used to use this when I was a youth minister. When I was on the step climber. Never mind. Okay. It really is a true illustration. If I were the only one that ever lived, Jesus would still have come for me. But the truth is, it would have been me that had to go, well, wait a minute, Jesus, you lay down so I can nail you to this. mean, if I'm the only one, I would have had to nail him. I would have had to bore his ear to the doorpost. It would have been me. And the truth is, it was me. And the truth is, it was you. It was your sin that nailed him to the cross. And I don't know what your name, but he's calling you by name going, I didn't leave until I got you. I'm asking you, if you don't know Jesus, in a minute, I'm going to have Terry play that song we sang over the mountain people. And she can just play that again just to have some mute. You know what I mean, the people that, okay. I just lost you, didn't I? But in a minute, we're going to, in this church, we call it an invitation. Here's what all that means. All it means is just to create a space, of a few minutes. Just create a space and an environment for us to respond. And so in a minute, if you need to respond to that and go, I don't know this Jesus, but I want to. Can you help me? You come down and ask me and I'll help you and we'll talk about it, okay? For some others in this space called an invitation, it would be a chance for you to go, God, I'm responding. And then you have to fill in the blank. God, would you turn my fear to awe? Would you, I don't know what it is. But here's the deal. Listen to me. People walking an aisle does zero for my ego. Really. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't. I talked to a guy after church last Sunday. One of the sweetest things ever. And he goes, I just want you to know, because I don't move doesn't mean I'm not responding. I'm responding. I'm responding with everything in me. And it was awesome to hear. So, you can do this from where you are. For me, I need accountability, and it's important. Every week I'm accountable because I'm saying stuff, and this isn't a canned sermon. It's my life, and so living my life in front of you holds me accountable. And so that's another reason why this space is important. That you might need to be accountable, or you might need to pray, or you might go, you know what, I've been looking for a church home, and you're stupid, but I could sit under a preacher like that, and these people are more awesome than you, and I could let them love me. And no, I'm playing. But if you're looking for a church home, not that having a membership doesn't move you up a step, because trust me, this is the earth. I'm teasing, but for you to be a part of that, I want to give you that opportunity. I don't know what you need to do. I know you need to do something, and so do I. Listen, every